Well, this is going to be my last video of 2024, and on my YouTube community tab yesterday, I posted a question. What are your thoughts on the Blackbeard remaster? Do you think he's too weak? Do you think he's too strong? And do you think a remaster warrants a replacement of a brand new operator for that respective season? Me personally, I said this from the moment I got hands-on with Blackbeard. I think they've done an absolutely incredible job with this remaster. I think it fits the operator very well, and I also think from a balancing standpoint, it gives them so much more to work with than they did with the simple rifle shield. But let's take a look at what you, the community, have to say about Blackbeard. One of the most liked replies on that post was this one by Rezaznable, and they say, I think they did Blackbeard just right. He's not too strong and not too weak. Usually, I don't really like shield players before the update, but now I can say I quite enjoy it. And honestly, I agree with you. I've been trying to play a lot of Blackbeard this season. One, because I genuinely think he is fun to play, and I really do like the work they put into him. But two, I also just want to try him in so many different aspects to really get a feel for him and give an honest opinion on him. Now, what I can genuinely say is 90% of the time I have died in Blackbeard is because I have been punished for getting too aggressive and not waiting till the moment I had the advantage. That is purely a mistake on my behalf and well done balancing on the operator himself. For example, if you're looking at an enemy who is looking at you, most likely never win that gunfight if you then go for the ADS because they can just pre-fire your head. However, we know what it can be like, and sometimes your ego may get the best of you and you'll try go for the ADS and get punished for it. But when you're playing Blackbeard strategically, getting up close and personal and maybe even going for that melee, which is also a very balanced aspect as well now, because if they hit that melee first, they're going to win against you. They can just keep hitting your shield and start shooting you. So I'll be the first to admit, between Operation Deadly Omen and prior to Operation Collision Point, shields were 100% overtuned. I said this multiple times, and I think they were a bit too busted. But I'll be honest, as of Operation Collision Point, and most likely going forward, I genuinely do believe if you are losing to a shield operator, that is the game being fair, that is you being simply outplayed, and you have more than enough aspects to counterplay them right now. I honestly really like the state that shields are currently in, and I think this is what they were going for when they done that initial rework in Operation Deadly Omen. But yeah, I think they found a really nice spot now. This next one is more of an issue with Blackbeard, which doesn't seem intentional rather than just an overview of how the operator is balanced and designed, but I want to include it because I've had this issue myself, and what it says is, Blackbeard still randomly just dies when the shield is up. Whenever I've played against him before the patch, he would just die when I was shooting at him as if his shield wasn't even there. That issue is still happening, but it's happening less often. So what you're saying is, when he had his old rifle shield, sometimes you would just get headshot even though the rifle shield was up. I would experience that all the time, and that is purely because the rifle shield can just have like a weird hitbox where there'd be slithers of your head actually peering around the sides. So technically the game was working as intended and you were getting hit in the head and not the shield, but that's why the gadget was messy and had to be reworked. So I don't think that was necessarily a bug with his old gadget, I think that was just poor design. However, what you're saying is, with the remastered version, it is still sometimes happening, but maybe just not as much as it did before. Now, I can say that this is true because this has happened both when I've been playing him and when I've been fighting against a Blackbeard, and I'm like, that shouldn't have killed him. But unlike the rifle shield, where it was just kind of bad gadget design, I actually think this is a bug right now with Blackbeard, because I have a clip, I'll see if I can find it, I might not be able to, but I'll explain it, and if I do, it'll be in the background right now. But we were on Chalet, and my teammate was fighting against a Blackbeard. I think I was dead or something, or I was spectating him, but you can visually see Blackbeard's shield sort of desync and kind of go like flat on his body, like go horizontal or something like that, and then it just exposed his entire body, and my teammate headshotted him, and the guy on the other team was like, what the fuck just happened? But yeah, it truly does seem like there is a tiny issue with Blackbeard, which doesn't happen every round, but it will occasionally. The shield will just kind of not go on his body correctly, and it'll sort of like move in a way which would then expose him, but visually on your screen everything seems fine. So just to address that comment, I've had this as well, but unlike with his old gadget, which was just bad gadget design, I think this time that little bit is a bug. This next one is by Alibob, and they say the Blackbeard rework was good, but when you compare him with the other shield ops, he outclasses them in most situations. Brackets, not to say shields are too OP, but I would like to see some form of quality of life from Blackbeard, such as taking the shield onto rappel and opening barricades, come to other shield operators as well. So what you're saying is, due to Blackbeard having some other differences from other shield operators, he pretty much just outclasses them. He is more lethal than they are, since he does have his assault rifle, and he can do stuff such as silent hot breaching windows, which other shield operators can't do. Now, me personally, I would rather the whole hot breach through window thing stays on Blackbeard, because I think that's already strong enough, and I wouldn't rather 3 other shield operators, being Monty, Blitz, and Fuse, be able to do that as well, because then you could theoretically have a team of 4 people who can silent hot breach any window. And from a gameplay design wise, it doesn't make sense for any other shield operator to do it, because Blackbeard can do it because he has the adaptable shield, so when he goes on repel, it goes into a smaller state which he uses to hot breach, whereas other shield operators, when they go on repel, the shield goes on their back. So if anything, it would probably be to put them more on par, you would have to remove it from Blackbeard rather than give it to the other shield ops, and I'd rather not remove it from Blackbeard because I think it's nice for him to have this little unique interaction. And who knows, maybe we might have a Zofia withstand situation again if they remove it, which I also want to make a video with a community discussion about. But I wouldn't say that he overshadows all the other shield operators. I still think they all have a lot of their uniqueness and worthiness. Even Blitz, I still think, stands out on his own, despite a lot of people saying that he's probably the most worthless one. I'd argue differently, but I can also see your side of the argument, and I would say that he is probably one of the better ones. Dexter says, I think they should devote 1 season per year to Operator Remasters, but give us 2 in that season because it feels like there's not too much else in this season. So this is actually a really good question because there's a lot of stuff to discuss here. And there's a lot of layers, especially about stuff behind the scenes, which we may not necessarily know, but I'll try my best to answer this. So it has been publicly stated that them making remaster seasons not only allows them to work on operators like Blackbeard, who in my opinion did get a lot of love and a lot of effort, and who honestly feels like just a brand new operator to me, but since it's a remaster, you don't have to model a new operator, you don't have to make a new loadout. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making an operator that they didn't have to do at Blackbeard. They mainly just had to focus on its gadget, its interactions, and a few other things. So, although it still requires resources and effort to remaster an operator, it's not like Blackbeard was like, they click the fingers and boom, he has a brand new gadget. They still have to develop all of that, there's still work put into it. But I think it's pretty safe to say that when they remaster an operator, it doesn't require as much resources as making a brand new operator. So it has been stated, now that they have more time and resources to focus on brand new operators, they can work on stuff with the brand new operators that they typically weren't able to do before. One of them being Scopos. It has been publicly stated that Scopos was something that the idea of an operator such as her and how her gadget works with the whole sort of teleportation but in a grounded realistic sense was actually something that was conceived years and years ago and was considered. However, it was just so demanding to make that they simply didn't have the resources or time to do that for a single season. Despite what we may feel about Ubisoft sometimes, they do provide new content every 3 months. For a game like this, introducing a brand new operator with skins, lore, weapons, gadget, interactions with every other operator, in a 3-month period, that is actually very quick. So with Operation New Blood, for example, being a remaster season, that means they could focus more of their resources into finally making Scopos a real operator, as well as giving her a brand new gun. Now, Operation New Blood was underwhelming. The recruits were underwhelming. Although I think they've now found a very nice place in the game, we can all agree that for our first ever remaster season, it was pretty weak and content lacking. Ubisoft acknowledged this, they apologized for this, and then with their next remaster season, Operation Collision Point, which is our current season with Blackbeard, they really showed us what a remaster season can truly be, and I'm really into them now. I think as long as they keep up the same level of effort they put into Blackbeard and don't make the same mistakes as Operation New Blood, I think remaster seasons is fine. It allows them to put more resources into brand new operators, giving us operators we've never seen before, like Scopos, like Deimos, brand new weapons, for example. And we are still getting really cool remasters. Now, you're saying, though, that you would like it maybe if they could do 2 per season. And that just kind of comes down to how many resources can they put into a single season to then remaster 2 operators. The benefit of these remaster seasons means that they can then make new operators with new weapons, really unique gadgets like Scopos, like we were just talking about. If they are going to make 2 remasters in a single season to the level of quality which Blackbeard is, not talking about the recruits, they're not the same level of quality as Blackbeard. If we're doing Blackbeard level of remasters, would be able to do 2 in 1 remaster season actually be a viable thing for it not to remove the benefits that the remasters have then given to the new operators, if that makes sense. I think remaster seasons can stand fine on their own. I think Blackbeard is more than enough for me personally. I think his new interactions, his new shield, suffices a brand new season for me, and I really do like Operation Collision Point. But I think there can be more content, but it doesn't necessarily have to be another new remaster or another new operator in the same season. For example, I think something that could have came in Operation New Blood and Operation Collision Point would be a new secondary gadget. That is another bit of major new content, which isn't necessarily a new operator. I think that would have fit especially well with Operation New Blood, considering the whole thing around the recruits is the fact that they have two secondary gadgets. So I think that would have been a perfect time to introduce both a brand new attacking and defending secondary gadget. I also think Operation Collision Point would be a good thing for that as well. So I think if we are going to continue remaster seasons, I think they should remain at the same quality or even better than Blackbeard has been, and also start introducing more minor content such as brand new secondary gadgets, maybe even brand new scope casings for one-time scopes, just more minor things, but they still have a new impact on the game and people still find it interesting as new content. So to answer the original question, I wouldn't necessarily be against 2 remasters in a season, I just don't know how viable it would be. Bean, or Benny, or however you pronounce that, says, they did a good job with the remaster, but maybe he's a little too strong, and the glass part needs an adjustment to be more visible if the glass is up or down. And yes, they should absolutely do more remasters. Much healthier for the game than pumping the dry cow for more new ops all the time. Right, let me first address the whole thing about the glass being up or down, because I will agree, sometimes it is quite hard to tell if his glass is up or if it is down. We talked about this in another video quite recently, but Glenny, who is a fellow content creator and a big shield player, actually gave quite a good little idea to tweak this just to make it more visible from the defender's point of view if Blackbeard's glass shield is up or down. And that would be to simply make his glass shield on the other side look like Mira's black window with the black colored glass. From Blackbeard's point of view, it looks exactly the same as it currently does right now. It affects absolutely nothing about Blackbeard. But from the defender's point of view, it will just be a bit more clearer because you wouldn't have the black mirror there, you would see his head, rather than right now where you can already see his head through the glass. So sometimes it makes it hard to see if his glass is up or down, so this would help eliminate a lot of those issues. Just a bit of a helpful little change to address a tiny bit of the frustration that comes from him without actually changing anything really. And the next part you say is that remasters are healthy for the game rather than sort of pumping the cow for more milk, which I think implies that they are running out of ideas, which I don't think they necessarily are, but I do think remasters can be healthy as long as they are substantial and actually worthy and they're not remastering for the sake of it, which I don't think they will. And like we covered previously, it does benefit other aspects of the game. So not to repeat myself a lot, but I will say, yeah, if it does help improve the brand new operators, and it is improving these operators like Blackbeard who are a bit underwhelming and making them sort of like the true version of what they could be, then I'm all for it and I agree that it's healthy. Delta Light says that it's shit just like all of the shields and they have to go back to the old hipfire mechanic and that was better. Which, you're entitled to your opinion, but really? Did you play the old shield mechanics? They were the most inconsistent, clunky rubbish in the world. Hip firing was RNG rubbish, and I think they done a lot to improve the shields from that. I think they're in a much better state, both to play against and to play as than they were before. If you guys think the shield bash was annoying, shields used to just one-hit knife you when they meleeed, and it would count as any other melee just as you would with any player when you knife someone. Which I always thought it was BS that a blitz could run up to you, flash you, and then one-hit kill melee you as if he had a knife, but it was just his shield bumping you. The actual shield bash mechanic is a lot more fairer, especially now that it does no damage. I think when it done damage, it was still quite unfair, but now is the best iteration of it because you can fight back. It gives a chance for your teammates to also help you as well, and you just aren't instantly dead like you were with the old version. And when they done the shield bash with the original rework, when it done a lot of damage, that was a bit unfair. And it's in a much better spot now, and I'm genuinely just surprised that you're reminiscing over hipfire because, like, okay, maybe you enjoyed getting 1 kill every 4 matches with it, but like, it was not really doing anything. Like, from a viability standpoint, you would only really get a kill so often from it. It was not a very consistent thing. And I mean, maybe you thought those were worthy kills, but I'd much rather have the shields we have now than getting an occasional kill every few matches from it. Yeah, shields were fundamentally rubbish. Their gameplay mechanics were outdated and clunky. And I think the shield rework is one of the best things they ever done. I'll be honest, I think the mechanics of shields in Rainbow Six Siege are the best mechanics out of any FPS I have ever played. And I'll stand stand by that. This person also says his gun sucks still, but nobody ADSs anyway. Why can he breach walls and no other shield can? He's already got AR and nades. This is another interesting comment. One, I wouldn't say his guns suck. I think the buff to the Scar is very good, and the Scar is actually a great weapon now, and the DMR has always been good. Plus, you also say his gun sucks, but at the end of this, you're saying that he's already strong enough because he has an assault rifle and nades. So do his guns suck? Or, you know, I don't really see that disconnect there. And you also say, why can he breach walls and no other shield can? Which, that's his ability. Why can Monty full extend but no other shield can? Why can Blitz flash enemies but no other shield can? Why can Clash zap enemies but no other shield can? Like, that's the point of his gadget. It's to make him a different shield operator to other shield operators. That's why Blitz and Monty don't have the same gadget. That's why Monty and Blackbeard don't have the same gadget. Like, I'm not trying to sound mean, I just don't really understand your argument. Like, if you dislike an operator because they're unique to an other operator, then I don't think Siege is the game for you. Donut Guy says he is not good when knives have melee priority instead of who attacks first, not when knives have 2 to 3 meters of range. I assume you're applying this to every shield operator when it comes to being in a melee fight against another defender, and I'm gonna tell you, you have the exact same range with a shield's melee as you do with a knife. As well as this, there's no such thing as melee priority anymore. That is one of the things they removed in this season, and it was shields who had it before anyway. No one has melee priority, and the melee range is the same between shields and knives. So when you come down to a melee fight between a shield and a defender who just simply has a knife, it just comes down to who melees first. You're not at a disadvantage when you're playing as the shield. It is the same between both sides. So if anything, it's just fair when it comes down to a melee fight now. But if you want to read more from that thread, you can find it in the community tab, and I'm sure people will be discussing in the comment section as well. But for the most part, after reading the whole thread of replies, a large majority of people who replied to that thread agree that Blackbeard is, yes, strong, but he is balanced, and there are many downsides and ways to counter him. A lot of people also say that remasters are fine and healthy for the game, but agree that there should be a certain level of quality such as Blackbeard, and it would be nice to maybe get some more content in other aspects as well alongside of them. So I extend the question to you watching this video. What do you think about Blackbeard? Do you think he's too OP, too weak, balanced, and would you like to see more remasters? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're new. Catch you later. I love you all. Stay safe. Peace.